So it is 5 o'clock. We will call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Tyler's absent. Jeff?
Yep.
John?
Here.
Deb?
Here.
And Andrew?
Yep.
Okay. And this is a special session, so we have an approval of the agenda, just 2 items.
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We will move on. So the first item is discussion regarding the potential land lease to Storycom for emergency comm system tower with a possible public hearing date at the end of the result, or as a result. Andrew and Jeff and Tom Hackett is here as well from Story County, so he was, and Lindsay, I'm sorry, and Gail were there at a meeting that they had with the city council.
Yep.
Can I ask if you guys could maybe get us up to speed on what you heard? I watched the meeting, found it very informative. I reached out to Tom and Frank Riddle with my own questions, and I've had those answered. Maybe somebody, Andrew or Jeff, feels like you can give a little bit of an update.
Sure, I can go quick. The horticultural land at Iowa State's not going to work. Can Tom jump in here if there's anything I say is incorrect, but there's a disagreement between this.
You can come on up here. We don't
We got
Yeah.
Join the group.
I'm trying to get a correct me here. So
Yeah.
sit out of turn
Yep.
Iowa State and the county, there's disagreement on the zoning of the land or something there in regards to lawyer fees and everything else. It wasn't going to work. That's pretty much the 101 version, not too many details. But that land is out. Lagoon is out just because of the dollars and cents wise. It didn't make any sense. They talked to another private landowner, and it sounds like that they have an option for that land. I believe it was $4,500 a year.
That's right.
On that land. So that is an option. The other option would be the school.
I do have one time on Andrew. What would the term of this lease be? What's the life of the tower?
So we have a contract with Raycom for 15 years for the maintenance and upkeep. The realistic life of the system is 30.
Okay.
We have several equipment upgrades that occurred during that time period.
Okay.
The other leases that we have are a 15-year initial term and 3 5-year automatic renewals for a total term of 30 years.
Yeah. I was just curious as if, I don't know if the city would need that, but if on the lagoon area the city didn't need the 5,000, if then that becomes a deal of, hey, we got to put something into the site, but therefore I don't have any upkeep after that. I didn't know if that's a possibility, but just wanted to throw that out there as something for people to think about. And if you just don't like the site, then that's okay too, but I just thought I didn't know how much those costs were. So,
Yeah, we don't have a dollar amount.
if you were to forego the $5,000 a year, then does that start to make that a little more feasible in your mind that, hey, I'll spend money up front with the idea I won't have to spend it later.
And John, I'm sorry, not to jump
Go right
what
ahead.
you're saying, but that's kind of in line with the kinds of questions I was asking
Okay.
as well, and I'll share with you what I learned. Tom has the exact
I
specifics.
just wanted, just before we left that one, I just wanted to make sure.
I was asking similar questions, just because I wanted to me this is a question of, there's no question, not for a second, a question about the need for the tower. There's just not, in my mind, not debatable. We have to find, to me it's about cost and where to put it, ideal spots of where to put it. And so I reached out just with some questions about the actual cost, because I wanted to make sure that I understood that. And Tom had come to a meeting before and had shared some figures. And then when I was listening to the meeting, which is on YouTube and available to people if they're interested in listening, there were a lot of other numbers thrown out as well that I was kind of worried about. What is the true cost of this? So obviously the upgrade to a new system with 911 towers throughout the county and upgrading new radios, other kinds of equipment, there's a much more substantial cost behind the scenes to this that is split amongst all of the users throughout the county. And I believe, evenly in that it's like a per radio cost, things like that. So obviously Ames with more radios, more, but so in my mind, those were all costs that had to happen regardless of where this tower goes. And so in a sense, I wanted to remove them from the equation in my mind. Again, in my mind. And so there is when you're looking at the $4,500, and let's just say it's zero for us, or maybe $1,500 if it's for us. I'm not making any assumptions other than to just for illustration. You're really talking about over the course of that, a per radio fee that is increased across the county to reflect the sum total of the lease agreements is kind of how I saw it. So I wanted to share that with you. Now your information too, so what I understood from the lagoon was, sounds like there might be, when you were saying the cost was prohibitive, like upfront cost just to get the land ready is prohibitive.
That's what I believe was the
Okay.
issue.
Gotcha.
That's correct. There's other ongoing costs that will be affected as well, and the only comparative example that we have, our consultant, Mission Critical Partners, has worked on a tower that's located at a sewer treatment plant in Houston. And in their experience, they go through their electronic equipment about twice as fast as the typical lifespan. And so that's concerning to us.
Yeah.
We don't know if we would.
It's apples to apples, but it's
We-
something to be
correct,
mindful
yes.
of.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you guys so that you had that same information. I don't know if others were confused about it. Again, it's a.
Sorry, I'll turn it off here in a little bit.
It's a trademark.
The other four sites are all done. So we got one in Iowa State, Collins Maxwell School, which is on some farmland that's back, that they are going to lease from the school, Nevada Justice System, so the Justice Center in Nevada, Iowa, and then a private landowner, which I believe is in Zeering. Is that correct?
In between Zeering and Colesburg.
Yep. So just dollars and cents, not that this matters, but the Collins, it's a $1,500 per year lease on that land from that school district, and the private landowner that's in place today is a $5,000 per year lease.
Correct.
So that's all public information. So back to Gilbert,
Yeah.
they're looking at that northeast corner of the middle school, which I don't know if you've seen this yet. Yeah, so they're going, and then that access road, they're looking at it, it's along the north side. Like, it needs to be an access road, it's gonna go along the north side of the property and then come down to the tower.
And that's different than when we originally were talking about things. I think it was going to be on the northwest. And we've talked about maybe doing some things with an outdoor classroom in there. And I think that anything that you show here is on the northeast corner with an access on the north, just as Andrew had said.
So other than that, I don't think there's any, Jeff, what am I missing?
Nothing. I think it. I don't think anything. We consciously can never say no to this. You go tell the parents if we have a problem here and they can't communicate inside the building because their 911 doesn't work. I want to go down that road.
Yeah.
That scares me to death.
I would not. And I know we have in a while. We're not talking about voting on it right today. Never would I think that that we would ever vote that way. It's where we put it. And so
Right. That's correct. Yes.
and so I'm gonna say some things here just for the sake of argument that I please don't read into my intentions or anything bad about that, but if it's so important, I can't believe it isn't worth $5,000 a year, right? There's nobody that would argue that this is the safety of the kids. I think there might be some spots in Gilbert. We're not, again, I try to stick to facts and find facts when I can in these things, because it's an emotional decision. It is, right? Of course, can't put kids at risk. Who are Gilbert residents at risk? I wouldn't think, right? Or probably just the fact that these 5 towers have to communicate in their totality, keep Story County in better shape, right? It's not really just about this building. It's not really just about that. But if it is so important, then it's just a matter of where, and it's just a matter of how much.
That's the best place for it.
Right? Yeah. My concerns were the safety. Like, and I'm not necessarily concerned about the, like, radiation or something like that from a tower, so much as, honestly, it just falling. or kids, it being near a school building and kids maybe seeing an opportunity to somehow climate. I don't know. And those are things that go off in my head as concerns, to be honest. And I know that there's others in our community that have voiced to me through email. I don't know who they are, they have done so anonymously, that they have some concerns. And of course, they would be welcome to come speak at the public hearing and share that. Their concern, if I remember it correctly in the email, was that it be on school land.
Why is that a concern?
I can't speak for them on what their concern is, just that it was on school land. Like I said, mine were, a lot of my concerns I think could be eased with, the easement is 115% away from, or not the easement, maybe I'm using the wrong word here. The distance is 150% away, I think, from the building, or close.
It's much more than that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So and I think that's just the requirement of the county, that it be this far, that it is designed to fall straight down. That there is potential of putting barbed wire around it, whatever. So I've said enough. I wanted to share that with you guys, but yeah, I would never want anybody to listen to this and think that for 1 second that would be acceptable for.
But for tonight, all we really need to do is just thumbs up for a
Yep.
public hearing.
Right.
And we need to get the word out so that people in our community can.
Do you want me to review the timeline?
Yes.
Because it's a very, this is a
Quick.
very. So, we needed a legal description, and we received that today. So Connor, our legal counsel, has the legal description, which then he put into the form of the public hearing notice, which is in the draft box. And that has to be to the newspaper tomorrow, which I already emailed them today and said, here, unless I notify you. And then it will be published in the paper on Thursday, which is within our 10 to 20 day, I think it's 11 days from our February 10th board meeting. And so what that public hearing notice actually tells the people on Thursday, when it's published in the Trib, is that they can come to our building, our district office, to review the lease. So we'll get all these other little things worked out with the lease.
But couldn't we put that online so it's available to people? I mean, why?
Oh, sure.
That's a good idea.
Make them, I mean, we want to be transparent.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right.
Here's
We
the
just want to
deal,
make sure we have all the information.
And the more transparent we are, the better.
Right.
The
So
public hearing
you're probably right,
is
yeah.
the public hearing is published, so we'll just add that to that.
I mean, that's what I think. I'm like, you know,
Okay.
we're good with whatever feedback we get,
Exactly.
you know.
But I think that we do. I mean, if this is just put in the paper on tomorrow, that's fair. It's on our website, fair. But let's be transparent about it.
Sure.
My
Makes sense.
vote, please, is that we do let
Well, I mean,
people
as
know.
long as you're good with it.
Yes, yeah.
You know, just transparent with it. This is a public hearing, let's let them know so that people who are interested can come speak. And I think that's fair. We should listen to them and they should.
Now, does the contract address, I know we had some issues about the cell tower and potentially for getting internet. What would that language look like in the contract? Or maybe not a possibility, or did we address that in the
Yeah.
lease?
We did.
We have, here's the draft copy so far, and Connor has reviewed it. So his comments are in the red. So his comments are the red, and then we responded to the change of, instead of no, that we talked about the 1,500. And then the other one was surrender. He suggested striking the language, and so we agreed. We thought that was a good idea, so we would accept his recommendation on that. And
Which just essentially the surrender was to tear the thing down above.
They've got to leave it like they found it. We don't, no expense to us.
Yeah.
Right.
And not just above ground.
Not
It's
just above the ground.
it's taking the footings and everything, is I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
You disagree?
Yes.
I just see it says above ground there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what we're saying. I'm not saying deleted.
Oh, and then there, okay, that's what it says, and then we're saying strike the above ground to remove it.
Yeah.
So that's a
Correct.
point of, we're not saying this is the final draft. This is the ask as it's coming.
Right, we're saying.
I will say there'll be more discussion on it,
Yeah.
and we're certainly willing to be reasonable.
It probably takes like 300 yards of cement. Oh, the 280-foot tower.
Okay.
If you want to put a green bin on it after, the tower, probably have a pretty good spot.
And then we had talked about the future option for the cell tower. And Connor was going to make sure that it was in there and that, so that's why we thought that section 10 was probably the section that he would want to look at to make sure that we were covered for that. And then.
But no internet on that thing, just the cell tower is all that we're
I
talking
think,
about
well,
right
I
now.
think they're gonna leave it pretty vague and open, my understanding is, meaning if they wanna add additional.
Well, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that we communicate that to
That
Gail.
that's
If
in
our
the-
time is short, then we would need to have that language,
Yeah.
because if we're just saying.
Who's the other
A cell
school
tower.
that's got that in there?
Is it
Collins
on-
Maxwell.
Collins Maxwell's got the same thing
I'll
on there.
make sure we leave
Yeah.
it more
Pretty much
broad.
just says it's gonna go
Tom,
back to a board.
There is also a time frame. I mean, we won't know right away if that coexistence would be happening. Maybe it's down the road that would be determined. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, it would just be that, because if it goofs up your signal, then that's a possibility. So we
Which is
just
what
have
they
to
just,
have
I think
that.
they talked about that at the meeting, right?
So
That's
at
why they
least
want
a
to
year
put
of
that
it being in
down.
place, and then.
And that's,
And then
and
once
that,
that year's
We certainly want to leave the option open.
Yeah.
And the way that I would view it, I believe the way that we would view it, it doesn't strictly say cell service, it doesn't say internet, it says that any private third party.
Yeah.
So any,
That
for whatever
last-
reason.
the idea is we don't want
Yeah.
3 towers in Gilbert if we can get away with
Yeah.
one. But
Exactly.
understanding it can't goof up communication.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we won't that last sentence, but we just want to make sure that the cell tower, that option, so that was a reminder to double check that. And then like insurance piece, Andrew, we sent that to
I'm gonna send that through.
Now to
tomorrow.
Dasco and it came back that we need more coverage.
So those are going to be higher limits in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get a little more specific with the wording in it too. So
Okay.
I'll email it to you tomorrow morning.
Okay. And I think that was,
Is that, no, is this, did you say a standard lease? Is this a standard lease and not, this isn't what Collins Maxwell had?
it was,
It was just a
I
standard
think-
lease? So why do we need more insurance? And I'm not saying we shouldn't, but why does our tower need more insurance than theirs?
I don't know what was on
It is what the other leases say for insurance amounts, with the exception of the Iowa State University lease. So we currently have a temporary lease with them for space on the West Hall. It does have much higher insurance values in the lease agreement.
I was just curious.
It's
what
just-
that
I mean,
But the private landowner, the Collins Maxwell, and the Story County Justice Center lease are all, they all match this.
Okay.
Yeah, $1 million is just for a 250-foot tower is about the minimum limits you can get
Yeah,
for insurance.
I
That's
just-
why I read it, I said, well, we're gonna require higher, that's why I called.
Luckily, we got an insurance guy.
And I called Lindenberg and I said, what do you have for limits? And their limits, they
It's
got
in-
5
it's in
million
line.
limits.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have much higher insurance.
Yeah, so I'm
than
gonna
what's
put the limits, I'm not
stated.
gonna make them buy more, but I'm gonna make sure to put in there that they can't go lower than where they're sitting
Yeah.
today.
No, and I was
So-
simply, I'm happy that it would have 5 million.
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand if there was a reasoning because
I don't know,
of
that's.
the
way too
positioning
low.
somewhere or what made that.
Unless anybody has anything else, I'll make a motion that we put this on for
Yeah.
public hearing.
I'll second, but I want to say one other thing. I want everybody to think about this. If we charge them $1,500 or $5,000, if we go back down the trickle line, okay, where do you think that money comes from? It's our taxes, right? It's where they get their money. So why tax ourselves when, quite frankly, what are we going to do with it?
But just to throw this out there, and I want you guys to be ready for where I'm kind of, I would be for, let's put it on the private farmers thing and then give them the lease money if they're able to get a cell tower or internet on it, and then they can lower their 5,000 by making a deal with a third party, and then it's not worth it to them, then that would go. But that, I'm probably more in the camp of put it somewhere else, but I want to let everybody know that I'm only one vote and understand that, but I don't want to catch you guys off guard, Tom, that it's like, well, where the hell was he? He was the one saying, let's get the cell tower and internet together. So I mean, but but if we were gonna put it on the school property, you know, I'd want that, but if I were just coming to you and saying, you know, what would I do if I were the king? I'd be like, you know, I'd give them that and then tell the cell company to contact you and put it on there too, you know, if that works, because then we just kind of wipe our hands of being in the business of communications as a school, and we let the people that are in that business do it, and then I would tell the cell tower people the same thing, is it's, go contact Tom, he'll put it on there if it makes financial sense to him, and then you wipe out your $5,000 a year with whatever you can squeeze out of the cell tower and or out of the communications business, which I think is fantastic, and then we can stick to education. So anyway, that's, you know, so I don't want to surprise anybody, but that would be, you know, but fully get why we're talking about it. So I don't want to be a wet blanket either, you know,
No,
I
appreciate
get
that.
the need for it, so I'm not questioning the need for it. I would just be like, if I can figure out a way that it's not in school property, that's somewhere else, and I'd like to have it at lowest rent possible for you guys too, because I think that's the best for taxpayers, so.
Yeah. Yep. So, and I would
Move
probably not be that far off. So we have a motion to put this on.
Second, yeah.
I
Jeff
second
has
it.
seconded.
We're going to one comment, Quinn, again, this is, I will send Gail these notes on the insurance tomorrow, I'll copy everybody else in on those too, so you're all aware of what, and again, I'm not going to make any change other than higher limits, maybe a little more specific in the wording, that's all, which is, it's not going to, nothing additional from you guys, it cleans it up on paper.
And everyone's okay with what you see here as far as those changes, is that correct? Because that's what you gotta go with.
I didn't see that. I honestly didn't, I wasn't privy to the $1,500 a year thing. I mean, I wasn't privy, I was listening.
That was Tyler's deal, but he had no reason for
You
it.
just threw a number up, because that's.
Yeah.
You can-
We can change that at the
Yeah.
beginning, I mean,
Yeah.
the
Okay,
idea
as long
was.
as that,
Okay, so it has to, let me put this, the lease has to be exactly what is going to be in front of the board. The lease has to be exactly the same, what is gonna be published by Thursday, which will be to the board on February 10th.
But we're voting that posted lease, and at that meeting, we can say, no, we want to do it this way, right?
No,
It's
So-
all in or all not?
right, so the lease,
Very odd.
this is what Connor
Just for the
said,
public.
right? So that whatever the public is viewing is the same terms that the board will vote on Monday night, the 10th.
In terms of a stated dollar amount, is zero or whatever dollar amount.
Because the timing is so short that you gotta have that date, because
Right.
couldn't we just do the next meeting then?
Well, because the downside of
Just
this
phone it in,
is
right?
the private landowner is more expensive, obviously, but there's not a time constraint. For us, because we have these public hearings, I mean, they can't get too far out before they have a known place because they've got a timeline
Okay.
that.
It's, we're out of sequence.
Yeah.
That's what I told Tom the other day. I mean,
Yeah.
we needed to have this conversation a year ago, then put it in sequence so that everything could fall the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, and we did, you know, to your credit, you came to us and we said, go find another spot. You said, I can't find one. So, I mean, I think we're all working for the main thing, so I guess I don't have any strong feelings on it.
Are you wanting to change that from 1,500 to 0?
Yeah.
I would, but, I mean, that's just.
And I'm asking the whole, group. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just one guy.
I'm fine with it as well.
With it being zero.
Let's continue the draft. This meeting.
Yeah, come together, we're not in this business.
Either we're not in the, yes.
Either we're not gonna do it, or we're gonna do it without money.
It doesn't make sense to just try to shrink it. a little
Yeah.
bit.
If we have a consensus among us, then I think that's at least what you want to present in the draft.
Zero.
0, okay, we'll change it.
I will mention that at the Collins Maxwell School Board meeting, they did, and Connor's their legal counselor as well, but they did approve the lease with a change. So
Really?
They did.
It's good to know.
It's good to know.
I'm not,
Well, there's gotta be like emergency, there's gotta be like some clause for
Yeah, I would
that.
agree.
Don't you want to have radios?
I think it's,
Maybe
but what I heard us say was let's leave it at 0, and then if we were to, maybe with Connor there, will he be at the public hearing with us?
Probably not, but I mean, we can ask him to.
Oh,
We don't
What's the
know.
cost? Okay,
We're not sure it's gonna pass.
okay, so, let's go back. any other discussion? I don't want to watch it too soon.
Thanks for riding herd on this. I know this has cost you a lot of time.
No problem, I'm glad to do it,
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that there's clarification, or if you needed clarification on the above ground.
That's a big
turn
deal.
in
That's a
the-
big deal to me too.
Yeah.
So we have no problems removing it to below ground level to a certain extent. There are two ways that the towers can be anchored into ground. One is a pier system, which is footings that are poured, drilled or drilled out and set straight down. The other is a pad and pier, where it's a pad is poured first and then piers that come up from that above ground. The piered foundations can be 35 to 40 feet in the ground, which would be extremely difficult to remove.
So what's give it like 4 feet or 6 feet, or what's a reasonable level to have it away so that you could at least
For
play
the-
grass over
Play
it?
I
football.
was going to say, for
yeah,
the farmers, for the two farm ground pieces that we have, it's 5 feet below surface. So we'll remove everything down to 5 feet.
5 foot.
I would think so.
That's fine, yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think.
As long as we don't make it a cemetery.
That's true.
Might be a good spot to put your coffin on. You wouldn't have to worry about going anywhere. We'll just build the chamber right in.
Excavate.
And I suppose, Jeff, after you're on the board for 20 years, you'll probably want to be buried on the property.
That's my wife.
Okay,
So Tom, do we need to change that with an R description there?
yeah.
So I'm
check
comfortable with that. I'm trying to see if the
Five feet
the
below
ori- the original
Yeah.
the original lease that we have just says above ground. Is that correct?
Yep.
So we have wording, and I can give you the wording that specifies 5 feet below the surface. If
Okay, if you want to just email that to
I
us.
can certainly do that. Yep.
Better quit negotiating because he's already got $1,500 and now he's
No joke.
It's hostile crowd here.
Okay, so if I go back to this, just to keep this straight, John, there's a motion to set a public hearing. Jeff, you seconded. All those in favor? Did I get that right? Aye. Okay, sorry.
So it will go to the
pass
paper
it. It will go to the paper.
and the website, and people
Yep.
can look at the lease. And
Yep.
it'll be on
Do you
the
have any
agenda
other
for February
police
10th.
questions, Tom, that you kind of want to sense of us? Or does that kind of cover what?
I know.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We will, let's make sure that we advertise that this is on the website. I do think it should be available on the website, not
Yeah, I do,
necessarily make them come in.
Yeah.
But also, let's make sure that we let people know that this is
That's
a public hearing over the use of this. Okay.
Tom, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Thanks for your
Yeah.
work.
Okay, so next on the agenda is a closed session, moving into closed session for a touch base conversation. Is there, do I have to ask if there's a motion? I've not done this part. Do I say this, or is this the person who?
Whoever makes the motion to go into closed session.
Okay, so I move that we
You
go into,
can't.
I cannot.
Yeah.
Whoever
You're the
makes
chair.
the motion.
So you said, hey,
Does somebody want to make the motion?
I'm going to make a motion to go into closed session.
Thank you.
I move that we go into a closed session for the purpose of evaluating the professional
then we do the
competency
terms.
of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless
I can-
irreparable injury to that individual's reputation and that individual's request, a closed session. Just like what I would say.
Is there, do I have to second it? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
No, we have to have a roll call.
Oh, sorry, she just told me this.
Yeah.
I got to sit down.
So Tyler's absent. Okay, Jeff,
Yes.
John,
Aye.
and Deb,
Yes.
and Andrew.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
There's, you want to turn that note, John, there's a note right